maybe just a little bit about the building itself. I guess at each spot we'll talk about the building that we're in and kind of some of the features of it. This particular greenhouse right here, we bought this one used 17 years ago. All the greenhouses you have, there are a lot of similarities to them in a lot of ways, but then each kind of have their unique features as well. When we bought this was both for growing transplants, and we grew in ground in here. So our first years when we were a smaller CSA, we did both in the same building. As you're probably all familiar, this is double plastic, it's inflated with air, that's for insulation, and we do that because we heat in here. This greenhouse starts up at the end of February, and so we have the ability to heat this greenhouse. One thing that's similar but a little bit different is the ventilation systems in the three buildings we'll be in. This one has some power ventilation in it. The other two do not. This one has the big fan at the end and the two vents that opening over here. And this is all, thermostatically controlled. So, you've seen these around. This is kind of one system for ventilating. Then there's natural systems as well. Depending on where you're at in your greenhouses, and sometimes you may get too much heat. You have to have enough power to pull air through. And this house, as we bought it, really didn't. What we ended up having is we actually have roll-up sides on this as well too. So once we get into the hotter parts of the year, we can roll the sides up. So depending on what you do with your greenhouse and when you're using it, depends on sort of how you set it up for ventilation. Other thing that's really important in here, I unplugged this one just so we could hear each other. But as your fans in your greenhouse is creating the air circulation. It's a really important thing to have because it has a big impact on your disease development in your house. And basically, that air movement is keeping your plants dry. We actually have fans in every house, even though this is a transplant house and the other ones are not. The last house we'll go to, we didn't have fans in there. There wasn't air circulation. It's actually a natural ventilation system, but one cold night, we actually got major frost on our tomatoes in there, and although I don't know for sure, I've concluded that we didn't have air circulation going, and so we got air inversion going. So the cold dropped, even though the temperature outside would have never ever frosted the plants in the house we've had for a long time, but we've always had fans in that house. So it's another thing in terms of air circulation in the house and what you're using it for and when you're using it. So that's if you're trying to do something without heat in the cold part of the year and you have a little frost-sensitive crop, that air circulation becomes particularly important. Down real nice and easily. It's just a PVC tube in here. Okay. And this kind of rolls off. You come over here, you'll see these are just zip closers to get a good solid seal. Take a close look at them. And then we have a little piece to flip it up. So that just makes it up and it closes real easily. Inside of here, there's lots of ways to do this, but just use bars. This is actually a conduit, and you can make these to fit your needs for your flats, sizes, and whatnot. So. And it has the pipes come down the center, so looking at the structure, I was confident that this structure would not go down under a snow load because you have that pipe, those supports right down the center. That ridge vent system was on the Hoophouse that we were at. That's the ridge vent that caught all the snow one winter and too much weight crushed the whole house. It's a really good venting system because that's where your hot air is. Okay, and also when you have that open and this open, you get a natural chimney going. It just sucks itself right through. Like in the Hoophouse when this was on there, you'd swear it was cooler inside than out in the middle of the summer. It worked really well, so I really kind of sold me on ridge vent systems. Just that you have to have a house.
It was really tricky to do. We found it to be hit and miss. And then we discovered Vermont compost. So we've stopped making our own potting mix, and it's a really high quality mix. And as you can, we find that we don't have to add fertility until maybe at the end. We'll water with a little fishy mulch, and if things are starting to look a little peaked before they go out. But it's a really nice mix. So the hot water heater in the corner, so we can water our plants with nice tepid water, not shock them with ice cold water each time. So that's a really nice way to treat the plants. Every week, and then we have turnips, little white Hackerite turnips, 2 deliveries of those. Salad mix every week, saute mix every week, arugula twice, usually our first week and our last week. We can usually get a regrowth in there. That's all the direct seeded crops here. Let me see, spinach, salad mix, saute mix, arugula, turnips, radishes. So that's what's in here. And then we'll see all the transplanted crops. We do get a few things from outside. We get watercress, chives, sorrel, rhubarb, and if we're lucky, asparagus, and rams. So we head off into the woods, to a neighbor's woods, to harvest rams. We head off into a neighbor's spring-fed stream to harvest watercress. We have chives and sorrel planted in our field, and rhubarbs planted in our field. And we also have asparagus. It's really tricky. We're really cold down in this valley bottom. We struggle with getting asparagus early enough for the spring share, and our main season share is too late. The asparagus is usually done by then, so it's a real tricky crop for us.
What's the dates of your deliveries?
The dates of our deliveries, the first delivery is May 28th, which is the last Thursday of April, and then the first 3 weeks of May. In the past, we've done the last 2 weeks of April and the first 2 weeks of May, and it can work, but it's really tricky because last year we had to, last year okay, like the year before we had to, delay it by a week. And so of course I'm in here every day, on my hands and knees, like, how much will it grow? How much will it grow? How much will it grow? How late can I wait before I tell the members that we're going to switch it? So, once again, just painstakingly keeping really good records every year, finally decided that, the last week of April is a really pretty solid, and if it's a really warm year like last year, well, we might have to do it a week earlier. And also that, when we start transplanting in here, or we start direct seeding in here, March 8th was when we put in the spinach. And so, we really have to decide how early can we start planting into these, which are really unheated hoop houses. We're not using the heaters for spring share. How early can we plant and have enough sunlight and have, temperatures that are going to allow things even to grow. So you can get stuff in earlier, but it's just really not going to take off and grow till a certain point. So those are the dates that work for us. If we were an hour south of here, if we were up on the hill like our neighbors are, it'd probably be a week earlier. We get, really cold temperatures down here at night. But of course, it's the sun during the day that makes the big difference too. So, it's a nerve-wracking time of year. Trying to get it all right. So, what I found with the direct-seeded crops is I'm not worried about giving them a double covering at night with the transplanted crops. We always did that. So we would take the metal hoops, we'd put them over each bed, and every night when we were closing up, we would take we've used both the perforated plastic and cover it, or row cover and cover it and really get them pinned down really well, and gain a few degrees of temperature that way, so the transplants wouldn't freeze. We've had it down to, I know it was 9 degrees. I don't know if it was 9 inside or out. I'm not remembering what it was. Anyways, it was, I think it might have been 9 in there, one like really wicked cold snap night. And all the outer leaves of all the transplants froze off. But all that little teeny tiny new growth was still there, and we still had crops. So it's experiences like that that really give me like a lot of faith in these greens and know that they can really make it through cold temperatures. So every year I feel like I'm comfortable taking more risks with nighttime temperatures with the greens, because they really are a whole lot higher than I think we think they are. So I haven't lost too much sleep over the greens this year. And we've had, the first week after we put these in, it was down in the teens, low teens, every single night for like 5 nights in a row. And that was after we put transplants in too. Yeah.